Hi everyone, and welcome to my pick of the best game from the recent Chess Olympiad. And this is a sparkling game from the player who won the Board 1 Boar Prize, Badar Jobava from Georgia. And this player, in my opinion, is one of the modern day geniuses, maybe one of the only modern day geniuses of the game. His play incorporates a lot of things. It's unique. He doesn't follow trends. He sets trends, which is really rare at top level. He's got a fantastic tactical mind, as we see in this game. He said his favourite player is Alekhine, but for me, he plays a lot like Mikhail Tal. And he's just a great player. I really hope he gets invited to play more top-level competitions because he certainly deserves it. And the game we're going to look at, what should you be, really paying attention to? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, his maverick style to the opening. He's really created his own opening, which is nearby impossible in this modern day of chess, but he does it here. He combines this with great tactical ability and a stunning finish. So let's have a look at the game and maybe analyse the opening in a little bit of depth as well. So Badar Jobava was white in this game, and his opponent was ex-FIDE world champion Ruslan Ponomariov, who is no mug by any means, rated 2709. But look how he gets destroyed here. It's such a sparkling game. Now, Badar normally starts with d4, and I'll call him Jobava for the course of this video. I mean, there should be a chess verb, being Jobavad. I think it deserves to be brought into the world. And this is his normal move, Jobava. Ponomariov starts with knight to 6. And now we see an opening that Badar Jobava has made popular, knight to c3. And this really is a very rare move. And it's a real, I would say, updated version of the London system, a popular system at club level. And this move has really not been played by many other grandmasters. Maybe Richard Rapport is the only other player who's played it. And the simple idea of this, given a chance, is to play e4. So black can play a move like g6, but then white goes e4, gets a perk position, which I suppose at top level, the perk from the black perspective is considered dubious. So black is really forced to play d5 here. And normally in this type of position, white has a pawn on c4. But in this updated London system, Jobava has played this with new ideas in mind. And he now goes bishop f4. This typical London system move. But the main difference between this and the London system is a knight on c3. Normally there's a pawn on c3. Jobava's main idea is often to play this beginnerish idea of knight b5 here. Now, Ruslan played c5 in this position, which must be the main move. Let's quickly have a look at other possibilities. Well, g6 has been played by Belgian #1 player Winnets against Jobava, but this really walks into what white wants to get in this position, because this move g6 weakens the dart squares around the black king. And here Jobava just played queen d2. With an idea of going bishop h6, castling queenside, and playing in such a manner. Winnets played c6 here, and now f3. An interesting little move, controlling e4, controlling g4, preparing g4, and preparing e4 in some positions. b5, a3, bishop g7, bishop h6. And this is already the kind of position that Jobava relishes. He is really stopping black from castling. Well, black could castle, but that's incredibly dangerous with Harry marching up the board with a ready-made attack on the h-file. And Jobava can castle queenside at the correct moment and play in the centre. So against g6, I think white should be happy. Now, e6 is another move that black has often played in this position. But against Topalov, ex-world champion, who he defeated, Jobava played knight to b5, this very peculiar looking move. And I think he's the only player to come up with this kind of concept. Now, knight to a6 is really the only way to stop this idea, and here Jobava just played a3 against Topalov. And the point is, okay, black will go c6 at some moment, then the knight retreats, and white is really arguing that this knight on a6 is misplaced, because it normally wants to come to d7. And the time wasted from white is more important than the time wasted from black, but again with a unique position. As well as knight a6, black has also tried bishop b4 check here. Gelfand tried this in 2016 against Jobava. But after c3, bishop a5, a4, black got in a lot of trouble here. a6, and now the great move b4. And after pawn takes b5, simply pawn takes b5. And already white had a very nice advantage here because he's going to win the piece back and get the bishop pair. So Ponomariov tried c5, and now Jobava just played e3. And against most moves, Jobava will now try to continue with knight to b5. For example, if black plays a move like knight to c6, this is a major mistake because of knight b5, this annoying move. You can only play knight b5 once you've gone e3, because otherwise a queen check on a5 would force the white knight to retreat. But that's not the case here because the bishop defends the knight now, and already white is doing very well here. So in this game, black decided to take on d4, because otherwise white may well take on c5 himself. And here, Ponomariov just played a6. Other moves would allow knight to b5. Jobava now very craftily played bishop d3, rather than playing knight to f3. Why? Because if knight to f3, black can develop his bishop, pin that knight, and then go e6. And you can see he's got his bishop outside of the pawn structure. So by playing bishop to d3 here, it's not clear where this bishop's going to move to. Because if it goes to g4 again, well, white can play f3 now and chase this bishop around a lot. So a crafty move order. Black played knight to c6 and now knight to e2. Again with the idea of playing against the bishop on c8. If knight b4, well, you could even consider a move like h3, really trying to trap the light square bishop in. At some point, black will have to go e6 because he has no squares to move that bishop. And then Jobava strategically is thinking, well, the bishop on c8 is a very bad piece, so I don't mind if black captures my bishop because his bishop pair will be, should we say, rather weak because of the weak light square bishop. So a nice positional idea. e6 was played immediately in the game. Now queen d2, keeping options of castling queenside open. b5, trying to divert that. So Jobava now castles kingside. Does this opening give him an advantage? I doubt it, but it does create new and interesting possibilities and a new interesting position. The bishop on c8, this is what this opening is mainly aimed against. That bishop is now trapped behind its pawn, so it can't come to life. Bishop e7, a3, stopping knight b4. Both sides develop sensibly here. Bishop d7, h3. This is a useful move because it allows the bishop to drop back to h2 in a lot of structures. Castles, rook to the half-open file. Knight to a5, trying to come into c4. And now rook to a d1. So just centralising all the pieces nice and harmoniously here. Now, black should have tried knight h5 here, according to the computer, but this is not a very human-like move, because after something like bishop h2, let's follow the computer's line a bit more. Bishop g5, f4, bishop h4, g3, bishop e7, g4, knight f6. The computer evaluates this as being better for black in quite a large way, but it seems so irrelevant to play a lot of moves to allow white to advance here. I'm not sure this position is as good for black as the computer actually first indicates. But maybe Ponomariov should have played this way. In the game, he played naturally with queen b6, connecting the rooks, and now knight g3 was a class move, stopping ideas of knight to h5 and bringing some pieces over to the king side. Rook fc8, playing on the half-open line. So really, black's moves cannot be faulted here. And now we see some magic. Knight to f5. A very risky looking move, but it has a lovely idea. The point being, well, black has to take this. If black goes bishop to f8, which may look sensible, we now see the main concept of this game, an open square sacrifice, meaning a sacrifice on a square which is open. Knight to h6 check. And this is nearly as brilliant as what happens in the game. Black has to take this, otherwise f7 will drop. And when he does take this, we can now see this Tau-like attack coming in. This bishop on d3, a fantastic attacking piece. And whatever black does here, he's busted. It's unbelievable. The main threat is queen g5 check. And if king h8, queen f4, bringing in the pieces. And now, whatever black does, he will lose. Something like bishop takes h6, queen takes, queen d8, defending the knight. And now just simply rook to e3. This rook will come to g3 and threaten queen g7 checkmate. The knight on f6 can't move because h7 is mate. So out of nowhere, this sparkling attack. In the game, Ponomariov played pawn takes knight. Jobava went rook takes e7 and now bishop e6. And this traps the rook on e7. So Jobava playing very bravely here, because if black gets one more move like knight c6, queen d8, the rook is trapped. But now a sparkling move. This is a move that reminds me of a famous Garry Kasparov game, which we'll come back to later. What is the magical move? Bishop h6. A sacrifice on an open square, and this is something we don't see often. Normally when one side sacrifices, they sacrifice on a square where there's already a piece, so you crash through. But an open air sacrifice, to me, has more mystery and brilliance to it. Now black is forced to take this. If he tries running with something like king f8, there's a beautiful idea here. Bishop takes g7, a sacrifice on a square. King takes e7, bishop takes f6 check. And the black king is naked here, running around. If black tries to take the bishop, what is white's brilliant idea? Can you see the tactic? Pause the video now if you need to spot it. Knight takes d5 check. Fantastic. And if bishop takes d5, the only move, queen h6 check. And all of a sudden, white's tactics just float together. Unbelievable. Can black do anything else here? Well, let's say king h8, we just take on g7 with check. And then we check on g5 with a one game. So Ponomariov took the bishop on h6, and now white's pieces float in. Queen takes h6. And there is a big threat of taking the knight. And if the knight moves, let's say knight to e8, again, the placement of the black queen is a serious issue. Bishop takes f5, takes advantage of this with a winning attack here, because h7 will drop, game over. Ponomariov desperately tried a counter sack because he's in a lot of trouble here. Rook takes c3, but now white just finishes his game perfectly. Queen g5 check. The king has to go to f8. Queen takes f6. White is still a piece down here, but it's hopeless position for Ponomariov. If he plays a move with his rook on c3, if he retreats his rook anywhere, let's, for example, say rook c6. What is the winning move here? White is a piece down, but he has a brilliant move where you can see from the computer's assessment, bishop takes f5, eliminating the one defender of the f7 square. Once that defender goes, it's checkmate, and clearly there's nothing black can do here. What about rook c7, trying to exchange off like this? Well, again, bishop takes f5, a brilliant breakthrough. If rook takes e7, queen h8 is checkmate. Fantastic. So Ponomariov desperately tried rook takes d3 now. But Jobava just took this piece back, and the position is hopeless for white. White has time to play rook e1 and rook takes a6, e6. And there's no way black can stop this plan. It's just an amazing position. On 21 moves, Ponomariov resigned. Try to defend this if you want at home, but you can't. I mean, let's say you go queen d6. The problem that black often has is that queen to h8 is going to be mate in a lot of positions. And there's also tactical ideas of just rook takes f7. And again, we see the queen is a major problem here. Even in this position, rook to e1 would be a very strong move as well. with ideas of playing rook takes e6 next. So a fantastic concept there of an empty square sacrifice combined with very maverick opening play made this a sparkling game. Now let me bring up this example of Kasparov playing a similar idea. Now we're going to jump to move 17 in a game that Kasparov won against English Grandmaster Nigel Short. And in this position here, we see a similar idea. White is attacking on the king side. He has some dangerous looking pieces here, but he hasn't broken through on that area of the board. But in this position, after black's last move, queen d7, Garry Kasparov now played the fantastic idea, bishop h6. And for me, Jobava's game reminds me of this concept. And the point being, it's another open air sacrifice. Black takes on h6, and now queen d2. And the idea is to move in to the newly weakened king side. You can look at this game yourselves. Maybe we'll do a video on this another moment. But again, this idea, Jobava's, has similar aspects to the Kasparov sacrifice. But for me, that short and sweet game from the gold medalist in the Olympiad was my favourite game of the Olympiad. I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave your comments below.